After 2 weeks in Genoa, I took the train through Italy and Switzerland to Paris, France to visit my sister for a few days before I returned to the States.
When I returned home, the next sort of challenge to making this all happen was to figure out work, because one of the things that I heard over and over in my research is that Italy does not have a super strong economy, it doesn't have a lot of jobs, and if it does have jobs, they are not necessarily for immigrants. And so the impression I get is that it would be hard for me to just show up there and find a job. And so I am trying not to put myself into a really more challenging than necessary position. So the first thought I had after spending all of this time studying web design and UX design and graphic design, I initially just thought that I would find a job that was 100% remote. And I did start looking for jobs and I applied for quite a few. And one of the real frustrations during this time is the what I was hearing in all the forums again about people searching for work endlessly. Like, they had been unemployed for a year, they had applied for over 200 jobs, they had only gotten responses to even 3 of their applications. One of the responses was a scam, only one of them turned into a real job. And I don't think that I would even be able to maintain hope if I had applied for over 200 jobs and hadn't heard back at some point from any of them, or, so I was looking for remote jobs. I was even sometimes, if a job seemed really, really good but wasn't remote, I would sometimes apply for it thinking that at least having more experience would give me more opportunities and more to put on my resume that might help me get the job that I really wanted and needed. One of the things that was on my mind a lot was that I, I didn't really feel 100% excited about being an employee again. I've worked for myself at this point now for about 13 or 14 years, and I like it. It is unpredictable and challenging. I choose the discomfort of those challenges over the discomfort of working someplace that might not be the best fit for me, or where I might feel unhappy outright. When I came back from the trip, one of the things that happened is that someone I used to work with shared on Facebook that he was in need of a website for his new private practice. And I commented on his post and said, "Oh, please let me do this for you. This is what I've been studying for the last several years, and I would love to help you out." And so I did end up working with him and creating a website for his new business. And that was a really great experience, partly because working with someone that I knew, I was able to tell him up front, this is the first time I'm doing this type of project for someone freelance, so please be patient with me. I am figuring out my systems and etc. And I did the best that I could in terms of making sure that things went smoothly for him. And at the same time, for me, I was researching things like, what do I need to put in my contracts? And how do I do whatever? And figuring out a good app for logging the hours that I was spending working so that I could get a better idea even of how long it truly took me to do one of these projects. So that was a really great chance for me to try out freelance web design. And after that, I did decide to go ahead and create my own business, because the conclusion that I came to between the challenges of finding work and then the concerns about people being laid off, unpredictably at any time. People would say, I've had 3 jobs this year. I'm sure that's terrifying to everyone, the idea that you could finally find a job and then really easily, really quickly lose the job for any number of reasons. So I feel much more secure actually in freelance work that is unpredictable and inconsistent than I feel in searching for jobs that are unstable ultimately. And so, for basically the first 6 months of 2025, I was working on creating my freelance business, figuring out all my systems, figuring out contracts, and just setting things up, getting an idea of how I wanted to do things, and building a website for that business. If anybody watching this has ever done something similar, I'm curious what you might have learned that could help other people who are trying to set up their own freelance business of any kind.